Before cities rose, before kings and empires, before a single word was written, there was a world of wanderers. Across frozen plains and desert winds, humanity drifted. Hunters, gatherers, and dreamers surviving by instinct and chance. Yet, in time, something remarkable happened. In the silence of open valleys and along riverbanks fed by melting ice, humankind would take its first steps toward mastery of nature. This is the story of that transformation, the birth of civilization, told through the rise of the first farmers. For over 100,000 years, survival defined human existence. Small clans followed the herds, reindeer, bison, and mammoth, as they migrated across continents. Home was never still. A cave one winter, a riverside clearing the next. They lived by memory, knowing which valley held berries, which ridge offered flint, and which waterhole drew prey. Cooperation was life itself. Every hunt, every fire lit beneath the stars bound these communities together. But this way of life demanded constant motion. Nature was the giver and the taker. Food ran out, storms destroyed camps. And yet always, innovation kept them alive. The shaping of tools, the spark of fire, the power of language. Humanity was ready for the next step, though it did not yet know it. Around 20,000 BC, the world began to change. The great ice sheets that blanketed the northern hemisphere slowly melted. Seas rose, rivers swelled, and the temperature of the earth climbed. Forests crept northward, and grasslands spread where tundra had once been. The animals flourished, and so did the people. In the shifting climate of this new age, humanity encountered abundance, and for the first time, the possibility of staying still. Seasons grew more predictable. Wild grains ripened in the same fields year after year. And in this rhythm, a thought emerged. What if food could be made to grow where we wished, not just found where it appeared? Stretching from the Mediterranean coast through Mesopotamia to the Persian Gulf, the Fertile Crescent was nature's perfect cradle for civilization. The rivers Tigris and Euphrates flooded each year, leaving behind rich silt, soil that could nourish life endlessly. Here grew wild wheat, barley, and lentils. Here humans found the chance to settle, experiment, and dream. Generation after generation, they learned the secrets of these plants. Which seeds lasted longest, which sprouted best, which thrived in dry ground. They harvested with flint sickles, storing what they did not eat and recognizing something profound. Control over food meant control over time. And with time came stability. Here, civilization began to take root. In the Levant, one culture took the bold step that would change the human story forever, the Natufians. They built stone houses, the first permanent homes in human history. They buried their dead in sacred places, cared for the old, and planned for future seasons. For thousands of years, their descendants refined this new life. They learned to store grains in clay pits, grind flour with stone, and sleep knowing food awaited them with sunrise. No longer bound to the chase, they were bound instead to each other, to the earth, and to the promise of harvests. The village had been born, and with it, true community. Imagine watching a seed sprout for the first time, a miracle born from cold soil. What had once been gathered by chance could now be produced by purpose. Early farmers discovered the power of patience, waiting for rain, nurturing seedlings, protecting them from pests and grazing animals. Over generations, they selected heartier varieties, those with plumper grains that stayed attached to the stalk. Unwittingly, they created domesticated plants, wheat, barley, peas, crops that depended on humans as much as humans depended on them. The earth and her people had entered a partnership that would shape every civilization to come. But plants were not the only partners. As the fields expanded, so did the herds that grazed nearby.
Goats, sheep, and eventually cattle were brought under human care, their wild instincts subdued across generations. Dogs, long companions of the hunt, now guarded homes and herds alike. For the first farmers, animals brought milk, meat, wool, and labor, a new economy of survival. Together, plant and animal domestication transformed the human relationship with the natural world. For the first time, humans were no longer just inhabitants of nature. They were its architects.
Farming demanded permanence, and permanence demanded cooperation. Villages appeared across the Fertile Crescent and Anatolia, some with populations of hundreds. People built stone walls, dug storage cellars, and crafted tools for reaping and grinding. Jericho, one of the world's earliest known cities, stood fortified by 8000 BC, a testament to human determination. For the people of Jericho, the fields beyond the walls meant life, and the walls themselves meant protection, not from beasts, but from rival neighbors. It was no longer enough to survive. Humanity had begun to build a world. This transformation, from foraging to farming, from roaming to residing, is known as the Neolithic Revolution. It was not a single moment, but a slow wave of change rolling across generations. With prosperity came new challenges: managing surplus, trading resources, and organizing labor. Social hierarchies emerged: leaders who coordinated harvests, builders, and laborers who shaped the first collective identities. Technology evolved quickly: stone sickles, pottery for storage, ovens for baking bread. Human culture itself began its march toward complexity, toward civilization. Farming wasn't just physical work, it reshaped the spirit. People now prayed for rain, for fertility of the soil, for mercy from floods and droughts. From these hopes, new forms of worship arose: the earliest gods of earth and sky, of harvest and rebirth. Clay figurines of pregnant women symbolize the power of fertility and the mystery of creation. Cave walls and village shrines became places of art and ritual, testaments to human imagination and reverence for life itself. The farmers were no longer just surviving the world, they were interpreting it. As villages flourished, people looked beyond their boundaries. Surpluses opened new possibilities: trade. Farmers exchanged grain for obsidian to craft blades, or seashells from distant coasts for jewelry. Footpaths evolved into trade routes, linking communities hundreds of kilometers apart. Through exchange, ideas spread: tools, crops, language, and customs. Humanity weaved itself into its first network, a living web of shared knowledge. Civilization was becoming collective. But progress never comes without cost. Dependence on a single food source made societies vulnerable. When crops failed, famine followed. Stored grain drew pests. Domesticated animals carried new diseases, infecting their human caretakers. Inequality developed. Some possessed more land and food than others. Conflict was born from these divides. Still, people adapted. They built irrigation channels, learned to save seed stock, and created rules to share water and labor. In facing hardship together, humanity learned the strength of cooperation, a foundation that would echo through every civilization to come. The first farmers could not imagine what their humble villages would become. Their fields were the beginning of cities. Their seeds would give rise to empires. Their experiments with clay and wood to science and written language. From the dawn of the Neolithic to this very day, the rhythm of their labor continues: plowing, planting, harvesting, a heartbeat of civilization itself. We are their descendants, still guided by their greatest invention, the ability to shape the world through knowledge and labor. In the story of humanity, no moment was more revolutionary than this. From the first scattered seeds sprung not just crops, but culture, community, and the capacity to dream beyond mere survival. The soil remembers us, and through it our ancestors endure. For in every grain of wheat, every drop of rain, and every sunrise over a field of green lies the echo of the first farmers, the true architects of civilization.